We were going to watch Mark Carney do an interview with Say and the National. Hopefully it's not copyrighted. I am a goddamn Canadian citizen. If this is copyrighted for my own criticism, this is going to be one hell of a video. But it's 30 minutes long. Hopefully it's not a waste of my life. Let's just jump in.
Minister, so we are almost, one day shy of a year, and it's kind of
so close.
Been a lot. How do you think you're doing?
How do I think? Well, it's not really for me to grade myself. How am I
so humble.
It is all-encompassing. It's exhilarating in many respects because the issues are so important.
The one thing is that I love all the comments where it's like whenever Trump talks, it's like all the Americans are like when the king was talking, it's like, oh my God, he's such a good talker. Carney, immediately he's like so humble. He's like, oh, well, it's not me to, say if I'm doing a great job. And then I'm just thinking if it was Trump, he'd be like, we're doing great. Because that's all he says is like, we have the best everything. We have the best everything, the best economy, the best everything. We're hitting record everything everywhere. It's great. And when the Democrats are in charge, everything's bad. It's all bad. But anyway, I understand why liberals get caught up in the niceties, but they're at the end of the day, they're both capitalists. So let's go.
Meet Canadians across this great country all the time, and I'm reminded constantly of the responsibilities come with it. And so in many respects, the year has flown by. If I look back at it as well, a lot has happened in the year, and so it's, time's elastic. It feels both like a long period of time and a very short period of time.
So today was an interesting day, right? So you announced this Sovereign Wealth Fund for Canada. It's new. It's an opportunity for Canadians.
Listen, I'm not like a patriot or anything, but like the Canadian flag might be the best flag out there. Like, not gonna lie, it's so pretty.
They have a little extra money, as you said, to invest effectively in Canada. So that is new. But what about for the Canadians who don't have a little extra money hanging around? Is there anything new coming from
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked the question because it actually starts the other way around. What it is it's for all Canadians. It's the People's Fund. And so what we're doing is we're
Yeah, I like her question though. It's like, what about the people who are poor and have no money to throw into an investment fund to grow a little nest egg? What about those people? And it's like, well, it's still open to every Canadian. Those people just gotta pull up their fucking bootstraps and work harder, I think. Get more money, get their money up.
We as a country are building again. We're making the country stronger, more independent, more resilient, better future for our kids. And so whether it's
hitting all the high notes.
Manitoba, or clean energy development off Nova Scotia, or carbon capture in Alberta, all these big projects that we're making happen and make it happen quickly, they're going to make the country stronger, as I say, more independent. We'll all
I thought he was going to say great again. Oh my Lord.
In different ways. Some people will work directly, others will get the benefit of a stronger economy. Okay. But at the core of all these...
What did he just say? Wait. He kind of slipped that in real fast. Listen to this.
We'll all benefit somewhat from that in different ways. Some people will work directly, others will get the benefit of a stronger economy. Okay.
Some will get the benefit of a stronger economy. He literally just said what I just said. He said, yes, everyone can invest in the fund, but how finance works and how the economy works is the more money you have, the more it's going to grow. So if you throw it in the fund, obviously, if you have more money, it's going to grow more for you. So yeah, obviously the people with the most money are going to benefit instead of the poor schmuck who has like $500 in his savings account. And he's like, well, I'm not, who cares?
But at the core of all these, there's businesses, there's private money that's going to make money, as they should. And what we're saying is that all of Canada, you don't have to have money to put aside, all of Canada, the government of Canada, will invest alongside the private sector in this sovereign wealth fund. It's called the Canada Strong Fund, for the benefit of us and really our kids and their kids, so for the next generations.
So that trajectory is important.
So exactly, it's that trajectory. And what we're saying in addition, if you have a bit of money to put aside, you'll make it able that you can put the money into that. But Canadians own this fund, regardless of whether they put money in. And that's what's exciting about it. And one thing, we talked a second ago about the last year, and I said what's exhilarating. And
I mean, that doesn't really mean much. That's like kind of saying like the Canadians own the national debt, right? It's like, yeah, Canadians own the debt as well, right? They also own the fund, technically, sure. Yeah, right? Yeah, they own the funds, they own the debt. Yeah, it's all paid with tax dollars, everything. The problem is that it's just a fund. It's that's all it is. It's a nest egg builder. You just throw some spare coin away and look at it in a couple of years whenever, take it out maybe when it's peaking or whatever the fuck, right? So this is like a really weird, it's just stupid. Like, Carney is a conservative. He's cut like the capital gains tax and this wealth fund. Like, you could have taken those capital gains taxes and put in housing or education or healthcare or whatever it is. But it is quite the marketing strategy, because it's like, this fund's for like the future of Canada strong, more independence, or generations of kids. It's like, your kids aren't seeing this shit. Are you for real?
And that weight of responsibility, and you would feel this. You go across the country, Canadians are involved. They're looking to do their bit to come together and build the country.
There's a duality there, though, right? So that they are interested in getting involved. But here we are. I mean, we're sitting here talking at the end of a month. They have bills to pay right now. So is there anything new for economic relief
100%.
right now for
100%.
them coming?
Yeah. No, that's the thing. So when we get up, I mean, in government, you have to do multiple things at the same time. And the first thing we're thinking about is the pressure on Canadians in affordability. And those pressures have built up over time. And so what we're looking to do is provide a boost today and a bridge to a better tomorrow. So the bridge to the better tomorrow is building more homes, building us, new partnerships around the world, making the country stronger, more independent.
That doesn't do anything about affordability, though. Building more stuff doesn't make things more affordable, because the only way things get built and sold is for profits. So it's not going to be cheap. If the private contractor is like, well, I need to make this X percentage market target rate, fucking profit margin trajectory, whatever it is, that's not going to help anyone. She's like, so how are you going to help people like ease the affordability pain? He's like, we're just going to build stuff. Like, that's not going to do anything. He might mention like the tax rebate, but at the end of the day, yeah, it's not doing anything to fix the problem of affordability.
And we're doing all of that. But what about the boost for today? So the first thing we did 364 days ago when we came into government is to cut taxes. We cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. The first thing we did when I first became Prime Minister before the general election was to cut the consumer carbon tax. We have introduced this year something called the Groceries and Essential Benefit. June 5th, those watching, there are 12 million Canadians on June 5th who need it the most will get a check for over $500 as part of that benefit. We just cut.
That's like the only thing. It's like the tax rebates and the benefits is like the $500 benefits. Like, that's it. And that's the most you can do under a capitalist system. It's like, sure, like, is Pierre going to do this? Potentially, because Carney is doing what Pierre has been yelling about for this whole time: cut the carbon tax, axe the taxes. It's like, oh, Carney's like, sure, bet. Like, okay, so it's uniparty then. We agree taxes suck. Then what stops the company from being like, oh, thanks for, getting my carbon tax off my payroll. Let me just keep that. Let me just pocket that. Like, carbon producers, like, I don't know if you're fucking how many individual households are major carbon producers, but it's like the carbon tax should be focused on industry, not fucking like the major producers and shit. Like, come on now. Acting like my fucking household is burning a hole in the ozone when there's a goddamn factory polluting making my whole air back of my backyard black and shit with smoke. Fucking douchebags with their trucks blowing big black smoke down the highway.
The federal tax, fuel excise tax on gasoline, which when you combine with the consumer carbon tax is taking 28 cents off a liter of gasoline. Now, it's high because of the war, but it's lower than it would otherwise be. So when you put everything together, what we're doing, so we're thinking about the everyday affordability, a series of measures to give Canadians more now that they need to get through, as well as being really disciplined as a government to protect things like healthcare, like childcare, like dental care, pharma care. All of those measures, you add those up for a family of four, the average family of four in Canada, depends which province you're in, but it's somewhere between $20,000 and $27,000 a year of support.
And this is what they do, right? We learned about this in my finance classes. They always look at the average, the median, which is like the average household is what he's talking about, a family of four. I'm not part of family of four. So he's talking about easing pains for a family of four. And it's like, there are so many people who are just not in that, who are on the lower end of the skew. Like, what are you doing for those people? And it's like, well, mostly we don't talk about those people because, one, the middle class doesn't give a fuck. The middle class looks down on those low class people anyway, and the high class looks down on everybody. So it's a win-win, right? So when you target the middle class, it's like, great, we're getting something. And then if you're just poor, if you're just in the lower classes, your whole life is shit forever, just forever.
That the federal government alone is giving to help Canadians through a difficult patch.
I hear what you're saying, and we've talked about all of that. I guess my core question is, tomorrow we get a special economic statement. Is there something more, additional, new in there that represents economic relief right now?
Well,
because without a new thing, some people might be left with the impression that you feel like you've done what you can.
We're constantly looking for ways to support Canadians, to provide that boost today and the bridge for to tomorrow. There will be a series of things. There's a reason you have to have some news tomorrow, Adrian.
Some today.
So I've got to leave some for my Minister of Finance, rightly so. But one of the focuses of
what is
the
this
statement tomorrow and the
in all politic fucking interviews, they always hit these talking lines. Boost today for a bridge tomorrow. What the fuck does that even mean? What does that mean? All it is really just like, yeah, we're going to take public money and give it to private companies to build stuff. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And they'll say, oh, we'll look at employment rates. Oh, we'll look at interest rates. Oh, we'll look at this, X, whatever. And it's like, you're sitting there in home and you're just like, my life hasn't changed at all. So like, what the hell, you know?
Strategy of the government, doesn't matter that's specifically in the statement, is we're building. We're building community centers, we're building hockey rinks, we're building these big projects. Well, how do we get Canadians, as many Canadians fully involved in them? I'll give you two examples. One, we need young people to go into the trades, to choose to go into the skilled trades,
right.
In order to build it. We're more than 100,000 new over the course of the next few years. We need, as a country, it's a great career if your country's building. We are going to build. Now, we need to make it easier for people to go into the trades, young women and men to go into the trades. You're going to see something pretty dramatic in that statement, which is going to address exactly that issue. We need as well, community centers. We'll try to spend less time online. Of course, obviously, we want to watch the National, but then once we've done that, we want to move out.
Community centers. We're building community centers.
Sports programming at those community centers.
Oh my Lord, we need everything.
Of course, it's hockey. It can be ringette, tennis, swimming. Just a host of things. So really having a strategy.
Who's going to pay for all that, huh? Me? Who doesn't play hockey?
There's
or
a lot
ringette?
to come. We're just getting started. I mean, one of the messages I would say, yes, I do feel like we have turned a page. We're getting control under spending on our borders. And we're building again in this country at scale, but we're just getting started.
So can I hold you to
Base 44 super agents. The next
building. Everyone loves building. That's what both sides of fucking Canada's politics talk about. everything's about building infrastructure. Build. If you just look at what they're actually doing, like what the government actually does when they're building, I hate the fact that all you get is your job. Because as a socialist, I'm a socialist. Your job is exploitation. Your job is alienation. Your job isn't enough to fix the economic conditions of your life, right? Especially when that's eaten away by inflation, taxes, cost of living. The wealth gap is constantly increasing. Everything's getting more expensive. Like, that's like your job. And by the way, it's a shit job. Trades jobs, would you rather go into the trades or go into a nice white collar job, fucking I don't know, whatever it is, stock market broker, shorter, big seller, I don't know. Which one would you rather have? Would you rather be digging in the oil fields, getting all muddy and oily, shirtless, getting hit with pipes, or sitting in on a Mark Carney meeting at the Parliament Hill for a couple hours?
There will be news on something new and more that represents economic relief right now.
What's new?
Well,
What's new?
Look, we have just put in place big economic relief measures, the groceries and essentials benefit coming through, as I said, June 5th. Yeah. We've just put in place in the last 2 weeks the gasoline and diesel moves. So we have measures. I'll say one other thing, if I can, about this. Sure. What's crucial is that we have a government that is managing the expenses. You'll see more than half of our spending is supporting Canadians. New spending is supporting Canadians because of the pressures that are there. We have to control other expenditure in order to make sure that that's viable. You know, we have the strongest position of the major economies, the G7 economies. It's our job to keep that position. We're going to keep that position because it makes us sovereign. It makes us independent. It means we can help Canadians when we need to. And it means that we can build a better tomorrow.
So you're
also, I don't care about this sovereignty bullshit. Like, it's very like Republican coded, like new age Republican coded. We're going to be sovereign. We need strong borders. That's like, it feels so neo-Republican at the moment. Where it's like, I don't care if we have strong borders. I really don't. Strong borders for what? America's right there. We're not, like, anyone who fantasizes about war with America is lost their mind. But it is just kind of like talking points. We're sovereign, independent. We don't need anybody. It's like, well, what happened to like globalization and all that shit? Like, that's not going away. You know, outsourcing jobs isn't going away. It's just a talking point. It just sounds, it's just a buzzword.
Dealing with realities here that contribute to affordability issues, like the war in Iran.
Yep.
The trade dispute with the United States that you're trying to deal with it. But I'm curious on the war in particular. What do you make of the president's explanation or rationale for this war?
Well, let's maybe give our perspective on a few facts. One is that the Iranian regime has been the biggest exporter of terror in the world. It's responsible for hundreds of Canadians' deaths from Iranian terrorism directly, exporter of terrorism into across the Middle East, Israel directly, but more broadly across the Middle East. It's been an active, consistent, over decades pursuit of a nuclear weapon, and a regime that I think by temperament, at least by past temperament, would not hesitate to use such extreme measures if it were. So a destabilizing force and reasons, and there's been many efforts to limit the risks from Iran to not just its neighbors, but to the world.
The thing is I don't understand this Iran war, because fucking the United States and Israel started it. Like, literally, they fired first. So when they're talking about Iran being this monster terrorizer in the Middle East, I'm sitting here, I'm like, what did they do besides maybe they wanted nuclear proliferation for their country? And also, it's like, if you're for democracy and freedom of choice, why are you stopping them from getting a nuclear weapon? You know? Also, nuclear weapons, we don't target countries with nuclear weapons. So wouldn't that stop the war if we just had an agreement that was like, hey, too much nukes over here, we're just no. Nope. Can we agree? No, thanks. And do like a checkup where like you're a scientist and they're scientists, like go back and forth and shit. Any of that. I just don't remember any Iran terrorism. Unless you want to be like, oh, unless you're just going to be like, the Middle East did 9/11, so forever enemy, right? Or whatever. But honestly, what have they done? Let's just be real. What have they done to Canadians? To me? What have they done to Canada? Also, Israel's just constantly striking the Middle East all the time. They're doing a current genocide of Palestine. Like, how are we here sitting here being like, you know what? Iran, we gotta take them out. Iran, that's fucked up that they are responding to American aggression. That is so weird.
So there's justification for action, whether that was justification for the action that was taken. We weren't consulted on those. Whether that is consistent, the actions taken consistent with international law. It's for those who took the actions to justify that. It doesn't appear to be consistent with international law. But in terms of some of the motivations for, at a minimum, containing Iran, and this is before one gets to its treatment of its own citizens.
Bro, Iran has been having almost had a nuclear weapon for like 25 years.
For efforts to contain them, whether it's diplomatic or otherwise.
But contain them for what? You're next. They're acting like Iran is like the fucking Soviet Union or some shit. We must contain them. I don't get it. I'm just not buying into the war fear-mongering of like Iran scary.
Shared how you feel about it with the president?
Yes. Yeah.
How did that go?
We have regular or episodic dialogues. I mean, we don't call each other every day, but we speak about things. I'll say this about the president with respect to this issue. The first time I went to the Oval Office, and just for your viewers to set the scene, what happens in those meetings is you get out of the car, he shakes your hand, you walk into the Oval Office and you're in a press conference. So it's during that press conference, which goes on for 45 minutes and covers a wide range of issues, that you're trying to get an assessment of, I wonder how this meeting is going to go. Normally, you have the meeting, then you have the press conference afterwards, so you have some sense. So, but after that, let's call it a press conference, the spray or whatever they call it in the Oval Office, you go and have a lunch with the president, vice president, secretary of state, and various secretaries. And at the lunch, the first question the president asked me was,
"Bro, who cares?"
And what I thought he should do about Iran. So this is an issue that has been on the mind of this president, and I would suggest every other one of his predecessors, stretching back over 5 decades, more than 5 decades, around that. So now, as I say, we were not consulted, nor were any of the other allies about the specific measures that they took or the.
Yeah, why would they? They're America. They're not going to do. They're going to do what America does, which is bomb the Middle East. You know, they're going to do what they do. But again, it's like, yeah, the United States hit like 3 targets in Iran, and like Israel also threw bombs over there. Like they struck randomly first. Like Trump is like, I love peace, no more wars, and he's literally starting wars. He's like, yes, war. Like we were not at war with Iran, now we're at war with Iran. It's even escalating even more now because of your butt fuckery to just be like, I need to blow up everything in their country. Like what? Why? This is only going to be bad. Like. And then when any response happens, they're like, look at these evil terrorists. Look what they did. It's like, well, did you not expect a retaliation? Are they just supposed to sit there and take an ass beating while they get bombed the shit out of them? Like, I don't know what you expect.
Timing or the nature, and I would say that the extent to which in the run-up to the hostilities, there were negotiations, and there appeared, and we have broader contacts, obviously, that there was some progress that was being made.
What do you think, how do you assess the cost to Canadians of this war?
Well, the cost to Canadians is, I mean, there's a direct cost in terms of the energy cost. There's a cost in terms of, look, there are, can I take a bigger step back, which is a cost to Canadians? But I mean, I'm going to be transparent about it.
Yes,
I'm not,
of course.
because I think one of the challenges, one of the things that we face as a country and many of our allies face is the changing nature of the world, the changing nature of the alliances, whether it's within NATO, the support, which is not officially NATO, but the support that would be given to Ukraine, the nature of the risks in the broader Middle East. And there is a cost to us as a nation. Yes, there's a cost, very real cost in terms of higher gasoline prices. There's a cost in terms of higher fertilizer prices for our farmers, right? I mean, many of them had purchased fertilizer before, but if you haven't, fertilizer has gone up tremendously. So there's a cost there. There'll be other costs that come through. But there's a deeper cost, which we're addressing, which is in terms of security for Canadians. The world is, I say this all the time, but I say it all the time because it's true, the world is more dangerous and it's more divided. In other words, the divided
Is that true?
The alliance structure that we had that helped to protect us, the system that helped to protect us, that is those are fundamentally changing. That brings a cost in terms of risk. That's one of the reasons why, while we're spending on affordability, while we're focused on Canadians' affordability,
I think this is, honestly, I think this is all just bullshit. This is all just like, I don't think the world is more divided than ever, honestly. You could probably, I guess you could say, you know, the world could be spiraling into fascism, you could say. There's definitely that possibility. But then again, we live in a very neoliberal woke time where it's like it has to be like this weird acceptance of like liberal fascism. But at the end of the day, the world outside, it's like they're making it seem like the NATO is dying, or like the UK, Canada, United States, the G7 is like falling apart, which isn't true. They definitely have to compete more. But I don't think it's like, I don't know. And they're like, America is still the military global superpower. Like that's just a fact. They're not going to let their enemies, they're not even letting their enemies near fucking, you know, Ukraine, Vietnam, Israel, like all of those proxy wars of like the shield of like containing the communist surge or whatever the fuck, and like you learn about in Social 10. I don't think we're there still. Like I just don't.
Building up our military. We are focused on.
It's just an excuse to get more military spending, more defense spending, more military, more cops, more sovereignty, and that's not going to help anyone at the end of the day. It's just probably going to end up into more war. Like lots of countries are spending so much money on war that it's like, well, we're going to war then.
Protecting our Arctic. That's one of the reasons why we're spending so much time with allies in the Nordic country, allies in
the
Europe,
Arctic. Can't wait for
Australia,
that
war. Others to
World War IV, the Arctic.
Deeper relationships.
Oh, geez.
With other allies because it's necessary. And look, the United States is saying, with some justification, that countries in NATO, for example, haven't shouldered their fair share of the burden. Canada now is. This government brought our military spending to the NATO target of 2% this year. Just a month ago, we achieved it. And that was the first time since the fall of the Berlin Wall that the Canadian government had met its responsibilities. Now, the world's more dangerous, so we're going to have to do more. It's not mission accomplished. But that gives a sense of, that's a cost for Canadians, if I can put it that way. It's the right cost because it's protecting Canadians. But money we're spending on the military, money we're spending on defending ourselves, absolutely necessary. But that's money we don't have for other purposes.
I do want to bring it back to this moment, though. So in Saudi Arabia, we met with a lot of Canadians who had fled many regions in the Gulf, right? They were trying to get out and get home. Their impression was they would only be leaving for a little while. This wouldn't go on for very long, that they could go back to Kuwait or wherever. It's still going on. So is there an obligation for Canada to in some way try to help end this? And if so, how?
Yes, there is an obligation. Where we can play a role, we have to be realistic or humble.
Listen, the obligation really is Canada's just going to help the USA in whatever the USA wants to do. There was this, like, you could look it up, but Canada has like drone technology or surveillance tech that they lent to the USA or aided the USA in like striking those little dinghies in the offshores of fucking Costa Rica or whatever the fuck. Like, Canada helped do that. Oh, like a war crime, like literally just a violation of international law. International law only applies to our enemies, not us. They can't break it. It's a gray area, you know?
About the scale of our role. We are not a superpower, but where we can play a role in conflict in any part of the world, we should try to play that role constructively. So what are we doing with respect to this conflict? Well, with all respect to our Navy, we're not going to send our 21. I told the President this. I said we could send our 21 icebreakers to the Gulf. I don't think that's going to help the Gulf Hormuz.
What about demining?
Demining. We have some demining expertise. So yes, we can provide that. Let me, before I list what we could do, let me give the context in which we could do it. So what we're doing is with France, with the United Kingdom, with 50 other countries effectively, part of an informal coalition of the willing, which is putting together
Coalition of the
assets.
willing.
Our Chief of Defense Staff is involved in
Put
this,
that on a
putting together
t-shirt.
our military assets and naval assets for what can be done once hostilities cease, once there is a ceasefire that has some durability to help clear the straits and maintain the clearance of the straits. So that's something we can do.
Well, did the President ask you, when you said you said to the President, I could send 21 icebreakers, not going to help, did he call and say?
Watch closely.
No, of course not. We don't need help from the Canadian military. Our great military. We don't need the Canadians. They're too soft. They're too soft for war. I don't know. It's always going to be proxy wars forever, right? Like, that's, I guess, just the nature of capitalism and imperialism in general. You know, like, Israel is just a branch of the USA, right? That's why they're, you know, colonizing Palestine, doing all this fucked up shit in the Middle East. And, you know, and then they come on the news and they're like, these guys are terrorists. They hate us. I don't know why these guys are so mad at us. It's weird.
He hasn't had that. We had a conversation. I can't remember if I'd called him or he'd called me, to be honest. But it wasn't a call where he was demanding something for that.
Look how long that tie is, though.
It's reasonable that we're providing support where we can to resolve the situation. I mean, there's a tremendous human cost in the region, and extending into Lebanon and beyond, and reestablishing peace, or a form of peace, a cessation of hostilities, to use a broader, simpler term. And what can we do? And so we're working as part of that. And can I make
Sure. If I do, I want to.
You can edit
if you
this bit
could,
out. You can
yes,
edit this
do
bit
it.
out. Okay. But I'll just make a broader point, which
Do
is
it.
one
Make
of
the
the
broad
things
point.
that this government has done over the past year is we've been broadening our relationships, both with allies and deepening, but also with countries that we wouldn't normally talk with as much, or we hadn't historically talked with as much. Because the fact is,
He's talking about
in a
China.
conflict such as this, there are a wide range of countries that are relevant to helping resolve it. And if you don't even have their phone numbers, if you've never spoken to them, if you can't engage,
China.
your influence is much reduced.
Who are you
And
talking to you've never spoken to before?
so in
China.
this, well, I will say
Canada.
who have spoken infrequently is a better way to put it. So the Sultan of Oman would be an example.
Okay.
Our relationships more broadly in the Gulf, whether it's with Saudi Arabia.
Right,
with
Saudi
UAE,
Arabia's
with
got
Qatar.
their grips and everything. They love their. The thing is, Saudi Arabia is so beautiful for sports. It's, they're getting. I can't wait till the first outdoor hockey game in Saudi Arabia.
With the president of Turkey, President Erdogan, who was,
Turkey?
virtually any situation in the Middle East. Turkey is influential. It also happens to be a NATO partner, but Canada had not been engaged. That does not, just to be clear, and I'm not saying about any of those specific countries, that doesn't
I guess
mean
you didn't
we
mention
endorse
China.
everything
Oh,
that
well.
happens in these countries. Of course not.
That's the first thing that came to my mind, because everyone's freaking out. Carney's selling out to China. And then Trump came on the news and was like, yeah, go get a deal with China. I don't care. Get a deal with whoever. Like, all these MAGA heads had to be like, oh, right. Good deals with anybody, even China.
We don't endorse everything that happens in our closest allies.
But it's like, China's not even that scary. It's just stupid to be like, oh, don't trade with them because they're communists. It's like, look around your house. Look around anything you own. Probably most of it is made in China. You think we don't have established relationships?
Approach to these situations, because it means that we can work to help resolve things.
You talked a few times about having conversations with President Trump. So it was interesting that
Trump, and more Trump.
Not that long ago, he was on a Capitol Hill hearing, and he said that when it comes to sectoral tariff relief, that is a personal decision for the president to make. How does that sit with you?
I obviously defer to Ambassador Greer in terms of exactly how those decisions are made. I didn't see the actual testimony, but I'll comment. It doesn't totally surprise me. I mean, the president has very strong and very long-held views in certain areas, certain sectors, automobiles and steel as two examples. There are more than that, where his view is,
he loves manufacturing.
But basically should be produced in the United States. Now, our view, the view of the Mexicans, the view of most businesses in those areas and workers and unions is, well, actually, the combination of our three countries makes those industry, the U.S. auto industry, more competitive. We're all better off together.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, because the fucking Republicans love free trade shit, but now it seems like they're all about, like, they're like literally fascist North Korea. They're I don't know. They're like, let's isolate and fucking kick out all the immigrants and bring all the jobs back to America. It's like, well, this free trade between these three countries, this big stretch of land, free trade between all those partners gives you cheaper prices and more competitiveness, and it's beneficial. So why go out of your way to just be like, we need to tariff this, so, because fuck you. That's why. Even if it is fucking me as well. It's like self-destruction for everybody. It's like, we're just going to fuck everyone's prices up over here. Until you listen.
There.
You're talking about
do what I want?
You're talking about a rational explanation.
Well, no, I'm saying the president has a view, then I'm giving the rational. Right. I'm not saying they're not the same, but might be. But is the president going to be the decision maker on major trade issues? Absolutely. I think the president is the decision maker on well, he's the decision maker, full stop, on these issues and all other issues.
I guess what I'm curious about, though, is if the rational conversation and explanation for why they should be removed isn't landing, do you see it as your personal responsibility to convince him personally that Canada deserves some sectoral tariff relief? Because this country needs a deal on that quick.
Because we need a deal right now.
In the right time. Okay, we need a good deal in the right time. And what we don't need is chasing a deal or chasing a small deal that disadvantages us for the bigger deal. We're ready to sit down. We could sit down this afternoon and hammer.
But, I mean, the, like, perspective, the whole narrative, like, the context of the video, like, even the interviewer is like, Canada needs this deal desperately. The auto industry and steel, we really need this. At the end of the day, again, they're talking about saving those industries, businesses, sectors, saving their profits. They will tell you it's about saving jobs, saving Canadians, saving your work, your paycheck, keeping you safe, blah, 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 blah. It's all bullshit. It's about keeping the profits safe. They don't give a fuck about you as a worker. It's about keeping their profits safe. That's all that matters.
The whole thing out over the course of the next 10 days if the U.S. side, which has other things to do, I acknowledge that, had the bandwidth and the inclination to go through it, we could hammer it all out. We know exactly what their issues. Yep. We know, it takes two, but it takes two to negotiate it through, and they're not all the way there.
Is the setback just at the Oval Office? I mean, if you're ready to sit down right now and hammer out.
We've been ready. Look, we exchange ideas. There's engagement. There's engagement this week. There's engagement today, actually.
I think that's funny. I don't think he wants engagement. He wants you to bow down and do what he wants. He is the Orange King.
In the end, there's going to need to be a real sprint, if you will, for the deal. And when that firing gun is set, if I can use the analogy.
Oh boy! Don't use that analogy. Oh God!
We don't have the starter pistol.
You're gonna end up in the fucking news when Trump's fucking 5th, 6th, 7th fucking
multiple things.
attempted assassination happens. Like Jesus Christ!
Abroad. Some of that's about security, but a lot of it is about economics. A lot of it's about economics and building new partnerships abroad. All of that puts us in a better position as a country. All of the building at home, being masters in our own home, that puts us in a better position. So we're doing all of that at the same time.
You're doing all of that, but I guess I come back to a question about a president who has an
unstable president,
thin skin. And
wow, you're gonna say that on the National?
Has effect.
Damn.
How hard
Damn,
is it
the National just throwing Trump under the bus like that. Damn.
Navigate in that space.
Calling out Trump, says he has thin skin. Damn, the National throwing shots at our lovely, God-loving, beautiful president. How could they? How could they? How dare you? God, I'm hungry. Oh, my tummy rumbling.
Look, the president and I have a relationship. It's built up over time. I can speak to him. Directly. He's the president of the United States. He has a lot on his plate. So you have to pick your spots in terms of focusing on what are
What's it like to deal with such a deranged lunatic, narcissist, and piece of shit pedophile?
Here's the thing, Adrian. In the end, we would go back to the deal that we would like to ultimately have with the United States and Mexico. One of the lessons I'm afraid we have to take of the last year, 15 months of U.S. behavior is, unless the deal is aligned and bought into by the United States, it's not clear they will respect it. Okay, I mean, I said the other day, it was talked about trade irritants, things that Canada's doing. These strategic tariffs, the 232 tariffs for the aficionados of this stuff, none of them are allowed under our agreement, existing agreement. Now, it's not going to do us a lot of good to sit and sue the United States on these issues. We got to hammer out their priorities have changed. We've got to work through. But it reinforces that it has to be a process. You talked a moment ago about logic.
Yeah, the law doesn't really matter when the United States just says, well, fuck you then. Actually, no. Fuck the law, actually. I signed that and said we agreed. No, I didn't. Fuck you. Nope.
Rational.
What are you going to do about it?
And a belief that what are the areas where we are stronger together? And yes, in autos. Yes, in steel. Yes, in forest products. Yes, in aerospace. Yes, in
yes,
a host of
we're
other
all
areas.
great in everything.
It's no accident, in my view, that we do still have effectively the best deal of anybody with the United States.
But that's Kuzma. But that's not what you negotiated.
But that's a choice. That's a choice that can. So if you just follow what's actually going on.
If you can just follow, you stupid
that's
twat.
All under Kuzma. That's all covered under Kuzma. They decided in those areas, for certain reasons, aluminum would be another example, pharma, that they globally have a strategic imperative which is different than what the terms are of Kuzma. Okay. In a series of other areas, they've decided let's keep the agreement. That shows the value of the integration of the economy. What the negotiation, it's not exclusively about this, but a big part of it is around these strategic sectors, which as Ambassador Greer, the testimony you referred to, and as the President has said, they want to fundamentally.
So far, I mean, it's a lot of talk about Iran. It's all Trump, too. It's like all Trump. I mean, there is like affordability and benefits about his thing for the first 8 minutes, and then Trump, the cost for Canadians for Trump. Does Canada have an obligation to help Trump? building broader global relations, negotiating with Trump.
A different arrangement. And the question for us is, well,
I mean, Trump's a big talking point, but it's just like,
in
dude,
the best interest of Canada.
Every day.
Where else can we cooperate that can improve those arrangements? That's what a negotiation is. You have a variety of things on the table. That's what we're working through.
I really want to understand something about what it has been like for you to navigate that space with President Trump.
Oh my God!
I know you understand the man, and you.
This is all the questions of the national. These are every Trump questions in Canada. Like, why? What's it like to deal with such a narcissist? What's it like to deal with him? He's so out there and he's so offensive, unlike us Canadians. What's it like to be in that environment, so volatile? So who knows what he's gonna say next? What's it like to be next to this narcissistic, Epstein-loving, weird child predator president? What's it like? Like, what is he gonna say? Yeah, it's like doing my job. Like, why is this always the question? What's it like working with Trump? Who cares? Probably awful. You probably have to listen to a bunch of his bullshit and then bow down to him anyway because their economy is better. That's, you know.
Watched him. That's one thing. It's different being right in front of him.
Oh my God.
Seeing him react to ads out of Ontario, or, you know, provinces not pulling booze. Seeing the effect of those criticisms, not liking your Davos speech. How do you navigate that?
Well, I think a couple of things. One is you're straight with him. You don't want to I don't want to antagonize anybody. I don't want to insult people. I don't want to press a button that causes anybody to be
so
to be
Canadian.
Upset. Maybe one or two people max, but you know what I mean. I don't want to. But I also don't want to say something I don't believe to him, right? There's no value. This has been my judgment from the start.
Also, the thing is, like, politics globally is so weird because what is the benefit of insulting Trump? He has a bigger economy. Like, we have no leverage besides whatever sectors we have that we send them. Like, that's about it. But like on a global scale, big economy scale, it's like, what are you gonna do? They have like 500 million people, and we're a small little country. We're in the top 10 of G7, but like, there's not much you can do to be like, you can't really insult him and bully him the way Trump insults and bullies Justin Trudeau and everybody, like everyone else in the world, like all the other world leaders.
There's no value in misrepresenting your position. Sugarcoating things unnecessarily, not being clear about where you're going to stand up. We've been very clear about standing up, whether it's on supply management, standing up for the auto sector, standing up for steel, aluminum.
Stand up for steel. Steel's had it rough nowadays.
And also being clear about where there's opportunity. The president, I think he certainly respects strength, and
strength through peace.
Lots of people like to be flattered, but he can see through obsequiousness, to use a fancy word for it. And
obsequiousness.
So I think the best way to deal.
Really
with the
look through the dictionary with that one. I've never heard that used in a sentence in my life.
And who is president, and there's a way to find an arrangement that works for both countries.
Well, you have the grace of time now, but it's not indefinite.
Well, we have. We never have indefinite amount. We will only take as much time as is necessary.
I like this interview is somewhat confrontational, which I get. You have to be like confrontational, like both sides, right, and stuff like that. But like, questions are so awful.
But
or it's like, you're running out of time. Where's this deal? Where's the deal? The only people who give a shit about the deal are literally the Canadian capitalists who export to the United States or import. That's literally the only people who should, that it's there for. Again, I'm a socialist. You can get mad at me, but the workers, the people who go to work and do all the jobs for 8 to 12 hours a day, they're not getting any benefits from this deal besides keeping their job. And I've already told you why that's not enough, but
will only take as much time as is necessary. But rushing into something, a lot of countries rushed into deals with the U.S. They weren't really worth
Like the UK?
paper they were written on. There's a
Like which
lot of
ones?
buyers. Well, you can. Well, I'll put it back to you and tell me which country you bumped into that's pleased with their deal with the U.S.
You don't think there are any?
Well, certainly not in private.
Okay. Prime Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, why would they? All their deals are like shitty. Even the China deal, like Trump ate some ass on the China deal. Like I think China won that deal because they were like, "You're gonna lower tariffs," and then Trump's like, "We're gonna raise tariffs if you don't do this," and China's like, "Bet we're gonna raise them just as much," and then Trump's like, "No, no, please, no, our farmers."